Ladies and gentlemen, life is a brutal and often merciless teacher. And if you are here today, I suspect you've encountered one of the most insidious obstacles to personal growth, narcissism. Maybe you've suffered under the tyranny of a manipulative boss. Perhaps you've endured the emotional games of a deceitful partner. Or worse still, maybe you've been raised in an environment where love was conditional, contingent upon your compliance with someone else's delusion of superiority. Narcissists thrive in the shadows of uncertainty, in the gray areas where self-doubt festers. They survive by making you question your own worth, your own perception of reality. And if you are not careful, if you do not fortify your mind and spirit, they will consume you piece by piece until there is nothing left but a hollowed-out version of yourself. But here's the good news. You don't have to let them win. Because in the face of narcissism, you have something infinitely more powerful. You have faith. Narcissists operate in a world of manipulation, a carefully crafted reality in which they are the sole authority, and everyone else exists as an extension of their needs, desires, and insecurities. To them, the truth is not an objective reality, but a malleable tool, something to be reshaped and redefined whenever necessary to maintain control over their environment. If you do not recognize this dynamic early, you may find yourself trapped, caught in an invisible web of psychological warfare, questioning your own perceptions and worth. The first step in overcoming the influence of a narcissist is awareness. Deep, undeniable recognition of what you are dealing with. Many people fail at this crucial stage, not because they are unintelligent or weak, but because narcissists are exceptionally skilled at hiding their true nature, often presenting themselves as charming, intelligent, or even self-sacrificing individuals. They can appear confident, accomplished, and even admirable. They may tell you they have your best interests at heart. They may position themselves as mentors, protectors, or even saviors. But beneath the surface, a different game is at play, one designed to strip you of your independence, your self-trust, and ultimately, your ability to challenge them. One of the most effective tools of narcissistic control is gaslighting, the insidious process of making you doubt your own perception of reality. They will twist events, deny things they have said, rewrite history, and if necessary, fabricate entire narratives to suit their agenda. If you confront them with the truth, they will feign confusion or turn the accusation back on you. They will make you feel as though you are the irrational one, the overly sensitive one, the one who is misinterpreting reality. And because you are a conscientious, self-reflective person, someone capable of questioning themselves, you may start to believe them. You may find yourself wondering, am I overreacting? Am I the problem? That self-doubt is exactly what they want, because the moment you question your own judgment, you become vulnerable. You stop trusting your instincts, your memories, your feelings, and when that happens, the narcissist wins. This is why recognizing narcissism is not just an intellectual exercise, it is a survival strategy. You must learn to see through the illusion before it consumes you. Pay attention to the patterns, not the individual incidents. A narcissist's behavior is not defined by a single moment of cruelty or manipulation. It is defined by a relentless, repetitive pattern. They will alternate between love bombing and devaluation, praise and criticism, support and sabotage, all to keep you emotionally destabilized. They want you to feel as though you are constantly striving for their approval, but never quite able to secure it. Perhaps most dangerously, they will often disguise their control tactics as concern. They will say things like, I just want what's best for you, or I'm only doing this because I care. They will paint themselves as the only person who truly understands you, the only one who sees your potential, the only one who can guide you towards success. But in reality, their guidance is a leash. Their concern, a means of control. True care empowers, narcissistic care enslaves. Once you recognize these patterns, the next crucial step is to stop seeking validation from the narcissist. This is difficult because narcissists often condition their victims to crave their approval, using intermittent reinforcement, giving affection or praise unpredictably, making it all the more addictive. You must break free from that cycle. The moment you stop needing their validation, you take away their power over you. And yet, knowing all of this is not enough. You must also acknowledge the emotional toll narcissistic abuse can take. It is exhausting. It is demoralizing. It can make you feel hopeless, as though escape is impossible. That is why recognizing narcissism must be paired with an equally strong commitment to self-recovery. You must reclaim your identity, your confidence, your inner strength. You must remind yourself daily, relentlessly, that your worth is not determined by the narcissist's opinion of you. And make no mistake, once you begin this process, The narcissist will resist. They will sense the shift in power. They will try new tactics, new manipulations. They will alternate between anger, guilt-tripping, victim-playing, and love-bombing in an effort to pull you back in. They may suddenly become the person you always wished they would be, showering you with affection, making grand gestures of remorse. This is not genuine change. It is a last-ditch effort to regain control. You must see through the illusion. You must stand firm in your recognition of reality, and you must never, ever let a narcissist convince you that you are worth less than you know yourself to be. This is how you win the first battle in the war against narcissistic control, by recognizing the game, refusing to play it, and reclaiming the power of your own mind. Boundaries are not merely lines drawn in the sand. They are the walls that protect your sense of self from being eroded by those who seek to control and manipulate. When dealing with a narcissist, boundaries are not optional. They are essential. Without them, you will find yourself constantly drained, emotionally battered, and questioning your own worth. Narcissists do not respect boundaries naturally. In fact, they see them as obstacles to be overcome, challenges to be broken down. They push, prod, and test limits, looking for weaknesses in your defenses. If you do not establish boundaries with absolute conviction, they will continue to infiltrate your mind, taking more and more until you are left with nothing but exhaustion and confusion. The first step in setting boundaries with a narcissist is understanding that their needs, wants, and opinions are not more important than yours. Narcissists operate under the assumption that they are entitled to unrestricted access to your time, emotions, and even your thoughts. They demand explanations for your decisions. They insist on knowing where you are, what you are doing, and why. They inject themselves into every aspect of your life, often under the guise of concern or guidance. The moment you accept their intrusion without resistance, you signal to them that their control is justified. That is why you must be unwavering in your resolve to push back. A boundary is not just a verbal declaration, it is an action. You can tell a narcissist, "I will not tolerate disrespect," but if you continue engaging when they belittle or undermine you, your words mean nothing. You must be willing to enforce consequences. This might mean walking away from a conversation when they begin to manipulate. It might mean refusing to engage in an argument designed to trap you in an endless cycle of blame and deflection. It might even mean cutting off contact entirely. Whatever the form, the key is consistency. A boundary that wavers under pressure is not a boundary at all. It is a mere suggestion, and narcissists do not respect suggestions. Guilt is one of the primary weapons a narcissist will use against you when you begin to establish boundaries. They will accuse you of being selfish, ungrateful, or even cruel. They will tell you that your refusal to comply with their demands means you do not care about them. They may even paint themselves as the victim, claiming that you are the one hurting them by standing up for yourself. Do not fall into this trap. Boundaries are not acts of aggression. They are acts of self-preservation. Protecting yourself does not mean harming someone else. It simply means refusing to allow harm to be done to you. One of the most difficult aspects of setting boundaries is overcoming the fear of losing the relationship. Whether the narcissist is a partner, a parent, a boss, or a friend, there is often an underlying fear that if you assert yourself, they will leave. This fear is understandable. Narcissists create dependency by making you feel as though you need them, that without their approval, you are nothing. But here is the truth. A relationship that requires the erosion of your self-worth is not a relationship worth keeping. If someone only values you when you are submissive to their control, then they do not truly value you at all. They value their ability to dominate you. The ability to say no is one of the most powerful tools in boundary setting. It is a complete sentence. It does not require justification or explanation. Yet narcissists despise the word no because it represents resistance. It signifies that you have a will of your own, that you are not merely an extension of their desires. When you begin to say no, expect resistance. They will push harder, testing whether you truly mean it. They may escalate their tactics, shifting from guilt to anger, from charm to threats. But if you remain firm, something remarkable happens. They begin to realize that their control over you is slipping. Maintaining boundaries is not a one-time act, but an ongoing process. Narcissists do not simply give up when met with resistance. They adapt, looking for new angles, new ways to manipulate. You must be vigilant, always prepared to reaffirm your limits. Over time, you may notice a shift. The narcissist may begin to withdraw, seeking easier targets, people more susceptible to their games. This is not a loss, it is a victory. It means you have reclaimed the space that was rightfully yours. A crucial aspect of boundary setting is self-trust. Many who have been manipulated by narcissists struggle to trust their own instincts. They wonder if they are overreacting, if they are being too harsh, if they are misjudging the situation. This is the residual effect of narcissistic influence: doubt, self-questioning, hesitation. But deep down, you know when a line has been crossed. You feel it in your gut, in the exhaustion that comes from constant emotional turmoil. Honor that feeling. Trust yourself enough to enforce the limits that protect your well-being. There is also a critical distinction to be made between boundaries and barriers. Boundaries are about self-respect and personal autonomy. They are not about shutting yourself off from the world. Some people, after enduring narcissistic abuse, swing to the opposite extreme, becoming so guarded that they struggle to trust anyone. While caution is necessary, complete isolation is not the answer. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and trust. The goal is not to wall yourself off from everyone, but to become discerning, ensuring that only those who respect you are allowed into your inner world. It is important to remember that setting boundaries is not about changing the narcissist. You cannot force them to respect you, to be kind, to acknowledge your worth. What you can do is refuse to participate in their dysfunction. You can choose not to be a pawn in their game. You can stand tall, rooted in the knowledge that your dignity is not something they have the power to take from you. And that ultimately is the greatest power of boundaries. They do not merely protect you from external harm, they reinforce your internal strength. Every time you enforce a boundary, you send a message to yourself. I am worthy of respect. I am in control of my own life. I do not exist to serve the ego of another. Over time, this message becomes unshakable, a truth so deeply ingrained that no narcissist can undo it. The moment you fully embrace your right to set boundaries is the moment you step into your own power. And once you do, you will never again allow someone else to define your worth. Faith is the foundation that allows you to withstand the relentless assaults of narcissism. When everything around you feels chaotic, when the narcissist's manipulations distort reality, and when self-doubt begins to creep in, faith is what keeps you standing. It is the unshakable belief that your worth is not dictated by another person's approval or disapproval. It is the knowledge that there is something beyond the immediate struggle, something higher, something greater, something eternal that cannot be taken from you, no matter how much a narcissist tries to break you down. At its core, faith provides stability in a world that often feels unstable. Narcissists thrive on creating instability. They want you to be uncertain, to question yourself, to rely on them for a sense of security. Their tactics are designed to shake your foundation, to make you feel as though they are the only constant in your life. They will manufacture crises, shifting between affection and cruelty, keeping you on edge so that you never feel fully safe. If you do not have a solid foundation of faith in God, faith in truth, faith in your own intrinsic worth, you may find yourself seeking stability in the very person who is causing your distress. And that is exactly where they want you. Faith is the antidote to this manipulation because it provides an internal source of strength rather than an external one. A person who places their sense of value in the hands of a narcissist is easily controlled, but a person whose identity is grounded in faith cannot be swayed by emotional games. When you truly believe that your worth comes from something greater than human approval, the narcissist's opinions lose their power over you. Their insults, their deceptions, their attempts to diminish you, none of it can penetrate a mind fortified by faith. There is a reason that people who have faith, particularly in a higher power, often exhibit remarkable resilience. They understand that suffering is not the end of the story. In the biblical narrative, figures like Job, Joseph, and even Christ himself endured immense hardship, betrayal, and injustice. Yet they remained steadfast, not because their circumstances were easy, but because they trusted that there was a higher purpose at work. When you apply this same principle to your own life, you gain the ability to endure suffering without losing yourself in it. Narcissists want you to believe that they are the ultimate authority in your life. They want to position themselves as the final judge of your worth, the arbiter of your success or failure. They do this by subtly, sometimes overtly, replacing your internal compass with their own set of expectations. Over time, you may find yourself desperately trying to meet their standards, chasing their approval, fearing their rejection. But when you have faith, you recognize the absurdity of this dynamic. No human being has the power to define your worth. The narcissist is not God. They are not the source of truth. They are not the foundation upon which your life is built. The moment you truly internalize this realization, you reclaim your autonomy. Faith also teaches patience. Dealing with a narcissist can be an exhausting battle, one that does not resolve overnight. There will be moments when you feel as though you are making progress, standing up for yourself, breaking free from manipulation, only to be pulled back into old patterns. This is normal. The road to freedom is not a straight line. It is a process of growth, resistance, and sometimes temporary setbacks. Faith allows you to endure these setbacks without giving up. It reminds you that even when progress seems slow, every step forward matters. Another critical aspect of faith is forgiveness. Now, this is not to say that you must excuse the narcissist's behavior or allow them to continue harming you. Forgiveness does not mean permitting abuse. What it does mean is freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Hatred and bitterness only serve to keep you tethered to the very person you are trying to escape. When you hold on to anger, you are still allowing the narcissist to occupy space in your mind and heart. True faith enables you to let go, not for their sake, but for your own. Forgiveness in this context is an act of defiance. It is the refusal to let the narcissist dictate your emotions any longer. It is the recognition that you will not be defined by their actions, but by your own capacity to rise above them. It does not mean reconciliation, nor does it mean forgetting the harm done. It simply means refusing to be consumed by it. One of the most powerful aspects of faith is that it shifts your focus from fear to hope. Narcissists operate through fear. They instill fear of rejection, fear of inadequacy, fear of losing them, fear of standing alone. But faith dispels fear. It replaces it with a sense of purpose, a conviction that your life has meaning beyond this immediate struggle. When you have faith, you stop living reactively, constantly adjusting yourself to the narcissist's moods, constantly seeking to avoid their wrath. Instead, you begin to live proactively, guided by principles rather than by fear. There is immense freedom in realizing that you are not at the mercy of another person's whims. When you trust in something greater than yourself, you are no longer shackled by the opinions of one flawed individual. You gain the ability to walk away, to set boundaries, to say no, not because you are trying to win a battle with the narcissist, but because you no longer need their approval to feel whole. Faith does not remove struggles, but it changes how you face them. It strengthens your resolve, reminding you that no matter what the narcissist does, they cannot take away your dignity, your truth, or your future. They may try to make you feel small, but faith reminds you that you are part of something vast and meaningful. They may try to instill doubt, but faith gives you certainty. They may try to control you, but faith sets you free. And in the end, that is the greatest power of all. Self-respect is the bedrock of personal strength, the unshakable core that determines how you allow yourself to be treated and how you navigate relationships, especially with those who seek to diminish your worth. When dealing with a narcissist, self-respect is not just an abstract concept. It is your shield, your armor, and your greatest weapon. It is what allows you to recognize manipulation for what it is and refuse to engage in toxic dynamics. Without self-respect, you become vulnerable to the narcissist's games, allowing their opinions, moods, and approval to dictate your sense of value. But when self-respect is deeply ingrained within you, the narcissist loses their grip because they can no longer control you through guilt, fear, or the need for validation. A narcissist's primary objective is dominance. They do not view relationships as equal exchanges of mutual care and respect. Rather, they see them as hierarchies in which they must always remain on top. They achieve this by subtly or overtly eroding your self-esteem. They belittle your achievements, dismiss your feelings, and make you feel as though your needs are secondary to theirs. Over time, this constant chipping away at your confidence can leave you feeling unsure of yourself, questioning whether you deserve better or whether you are even capable of standing up to them. This is precisely why self-respect must be cultivated with intention. It is not something that simply appears. It is something you build, brick by brick, through conscious thought and deliberate action. The first step to cultivating self-respect is recognizing your intrinsic worth. This means understanding at the deepest level that your value is not determined by how others perceive you, nor is it something that can be taken away by someone else's disapproval. Narcissists thrive on making their victims feel unworthy so they can position themselves as the source of validation. If you believe, even subconsciously, that your worth is contingent on their acceptance, you will forever be trapped in their cycle of control. But when you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are valuable regardless of their opinions, you become untouchable. Their insults lose power. Their manipulations become transparent. Their approval becomes irrelevant. Self-respect also requires self-advocacy. This means speaking up when your boundaries are crossed, asserting your needs without apology, and refusing to tolerate disrespect in any form. Many people struggle with this because they fear conflict. They worry that standing up for themselves will provoke the narcissist's anger or cause the relationship to fall apart. And in truth, it might. But that is not a reason to remain silent. If a relationship cannot survive your self-respect, then it is not a relationship worth preserving. A crucial component of self-respect is refusing to engage in self-betrayal. Every time you tolerate mistreatment, every time you ignore your gut instinct, every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you chip away at your own dignity. You send a message to yourself that your comfort, happiness, and well-being are less important than someone else's demands. Over time, this erodes not only your self-respect, but also your ability to trust yourself. And that is exactly what the narcissist wants. They want you to second-guess your instincts, to rely on them for guidance, to believe that you are incapable of standing on your own. But the truth is, you are far stronger than they want you to believe. The moment you stop betraying yourself for the sake of appeasing someone else is the moment you reclaim your power. One of the greatest challenges in maintaining self-respect is resisting the urge to explain yourself to the narcissist. They will demand justifications for your boundaries, your decisions, your refusal to engage in their toxic patterns. They will act as though they are entitled to an explanation for everything you do. But self-respect means knowing that you do not owe them an explanation. Your choices do not need to be validated by them. You do not need to prove your worth or convince them that you deserve respect. Simply put, the narcissist's approval is not required for you to stand firm in your own truth. A person with deep self-respect does not waste time trying to win over those who refuse to see their value. They do not beg for kindness, nor do they tolerate cruelty disguised as love. They understand that love, true love, healthy love, is never conditional upon submission or compliance. Narcissists will attempt to make you feel as though you must earn their affection, that you must perform a certain way to be deemed worthy. But real love does not require performance. It does not demand that you shrink yourself, mute your voice, or endure disrespect for the sake of maintaining the relationship. Walking away from a narcissist is often the ultimate test of self-respect. It is easy to say you deserve better. It is much harder to act on that belief when it means severing ties with someone who has conditioned you to seek their validation. The narcissist will not make it easy. They may suddenly become everything you ever wanted them to be, showering you with affection, making grand promises of change. They may guilt-trip you, play the victim, or lash out in anger. But self-respect means standing firm in your decision, refusing to be pulled back into a dynamic that you know is harmful. True self-respect is unshakable. It does not waver in the face of manipulation. It does not bend under the weight of guilt. It does not seek permission to exist. When you fully embrace self-respect, you stop being a pawn in the narcissist's game. You stop waiting for them to change, stop hoping for their approval, stop craving their validation. Instead, you turn inward, recognizing that everything you need, strength, confidence, worth, has been within you all along. And when you reach that point, when you truly see yourself as worthy, the narcissist's power over you dissolves. This is not an easy journey. It requires deep introspection, the willingness to break old patterns, and the courage to stand alone if necessary. But in the end, self-respect is the foundation upon which true freedom is built. It is what allows you to walk away without looking back, to stand tall in the face of manipulation, and to never again settle for less than you deserve. Healing from the damage inflicted by a narcissist is not an overnight process. It is a journey, one that requires patience, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to rebuilding yourself from the inside out. Many people, after enduring narcissistic abuse, expect to feel an immediate sense of relief once they step away from the toxic relationship. But what they often find instead is a deep, lingering pain, an emptiness, a confusion, a sense of loss that seems impossible to shake. This is because narcissistic abuse is not just about the overt acts of cruelty. It is about the way the narcissist systematically dismantles your sense of self. They distort your perception of reality. They make you question your own instincts, and they leave you feeling as though you are unworthy of love, respect, and kindness. This psychological erosion does not heal simply because the narcissist is no longer present. Healing is a conscious, deliberate process, one that must be approached with care and intention. The first step in healing is acknowledging the depth of the damage. It is common for victims of narcissistic abuse to downplay their experiences, to convince themselves that it wasn't that bad or that they should just move on. This tendency often comes from years of conditioning, being told that they are overreacting, that they are too sensitive, that they are the problem. But the truth is, the damage is real, it is deep, and it deserves to be acknowledged. Suppressing the pain will not make it disappear. It will only bury it deeper, allowing it to fester and manifest in other areas of life. True healing begins with allowing yourself to feel the weight of what has happened, to grieve the time lost, the trust broken, and the wounds inflicted. One of the most challenging aspects of healing is overcoming self-doubt. Narcissists excel at making their victims question their own judgment. They twist reality, rewriting history to serve their own narrative. They gaslight, making you feel as though you imagined the abuse, as though you were the one in the wrong. Even after leaving, many victims struggle with a lingering sense of doubt, wondering if they were too harsh, if they misinterpreted the situation, if they should have tried harder. This is why reclaiming trust in your own perception is crucial. You must remind yourself that your experiences were real, that your pain is valid, and that your instincts, no matter how much they were undermined, are trustworthy. Healing also requires breaking free from the toxic patterns that the narcissist instilled in you. Many victims, after escaping one narcissist, unknowingly find themselves drawn to similar personalities in future relationships. This is because the abuse conditions them to tolerate mistreatment, to associate love with suffering, to seek validation from those who refuse to give it freely. If these patterns are not consciously addressed, they will repeat, trapping you in an endless cycle of toxic relationships. Self-awareness is the key to breaking this cycle. It means recognizing the red flags early, listening to your intuition, and refusing to entertain relationships that do not honor your worth. It means understanding that love is not something that needs to be earned through suffering. A critical part of healing is rebuilding self-worth. Narcissists tear down their victims' confidence so that they can maintain control. They make you feel small, insignificant, replaceable. Over time, this erodes your ability to see yourself clearly. Healing means undoing this damage. It means reclaiming your right to take up space, to have a voice, to exist without seeking permission. It means learning to speak to yourself with kindness, to replace the inner critic that the narcissist implanted in your mind with a voice of self-compassion. It is about rediscovering your own strengths, passions, and identity outside of the role the narcissist forced upon you. Forgiveness is often misunderstood in the healing process. Many believe that forgiveness means excusing the narcissist's behavior, making peace with what happened, or even reconciling with the person who caused harm. But true forgiveness is none of these things. True forgiveness is about releasing the hold that the narcissist still has over you. It is about refusing to carry the burden of resentment, because that burden only serves to keep you tethered to the past. Forgiveness does not mean welcoming the narcissist back into your life. It does not mean pretending that what happened was acceptable. It simply means choosing to free yourself from the emotional chains that keep you trapped in the pain they inflicted. Healing is not a linear process. There will be days when you feel strong and empowered, ready to take on the world, and there will be days when the memories creep in, when the self-doubt resurfaces, when the wounds feel as raw as they did in the beginning. This is normal. Progress is not measured by the absence of pain, but by the ability to move forward. Healing is about learning to sit with the pain without letting it define you. It is about recognizing that your past does not dictate your future. Surrounding yourself with support is essential. Narcissists isolate their victims, making them feel as though they are alone in their experiences. But the truth is, you are not alone. There are others who have walked this path, who understand the pain, who can offer guidance and encouragement. Seeking therapy, joining support groups, or simply confiding in trusted friends and family can provide the validation and perspective needed to move forward. Healing is not something that must be done in isolation. Connection is a powerful antidote to the wounds of narcissistic abuse. Most importantly, healing means rediscovering joy. After enduring the psychological warfare of a narcissistic relationship, many victims struggle to remember what happiness feels like. They have spent so long walking on eggshells, anticipating the next attack, living in a constant state of anxiety. But life is meant to be more than survival. It is meant to be lived fully, with passion, with laughter, with love. Healing is about allowing yourself to dream again, to hope again, to believe in the possibility of a future that is free from the shadows of the past. It is about giving yourself permission to embrace life without fear. The ultimate victory over a narcissist is not in revenge or proving them wrong. It is in becoming the person they tried to convince you that you could never be. It is in standing tall, unbroken, unapologetically yourself. It is in knowing that you are whole, worthy, and strong, not because they say so, but because you have reclaimed that truth for yourself. And in that truth, in that unwavering self-belief, you find the freedom that they never wanted you to have. The battle against narcissism is not just an external one, it is a deeply personal internal fight for your own sense of identity, dignity, and freedom. Narcissists seek to dominate, to manipulate, to make you doubt your worth so they can maintain control. But the truth is, their power over you only exists if you allow it. The antidote to their influence lies in faith, in self-awareness, in unwavering self-respect, and in the conscious choice to heal and move forward. Faith is your anchor. It reminds you that your worth is not dictated by human approval, but by something greater, something unshakable. It is what allows you to endure suffering without losing yourself, to stand firm in the face of manipulation, and to trust that there is a higher purpose beyond the pain. Understanding the tactics of narcissists empowers you to break free. They thrive on distortion and control, but once you see through their illusions, they lose their grip. Knowledge is liberation, and once you recognize their strategies, you stop playing their game. Self-respect is your shield. It is what allows you to set boundaries, to refuse to engage in toxic dynamics, and to walk away without guilt. It is what ensures that you will never again settle for less than you deserve. Healing is your greatest victory. The scars left by a narcissist do not define you. They are simply evidence of your survival. True healing is not just about escaping their grasp. It is about reclaiming joy, rebuilding your sense of self, and creating a future free from their influence. In the end, the most powerful response to narcissism is to become everything they tried to convince you that you could never be: whole, strong, unshaken, free. When you choose faith over fear, knowledge over confusion, self-respect over submission, and healing over resentment, you step into a life that is truly your own, a life no narcissist can ever take from you.